I'm Mark Callahan, Mr. Saltwater Tank, coming to you on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. Keeping a saltwater tank is the most enjoyable hobby that I've ever gotten into. And back in 1989, when I started in saltwater tanks, nearly every tank out there was a fish-only tank. See, back then, very few people could keep corals in a reef tank, and the very few people that could keep coral alive could keep very few different types of coral. Very few is in 1 to 3 different types. Now, in the past 25 years, the number of corals that can be kept successfully in a saltwater tank has exploded. So much so, nowadays, reef tanks, remember that's a saltwater tank with corals in it, vastly outnumber fish-only tanks. Now, some saltwater tank hobbyists enjoy their fish-only tanks, and if that's you, great, I'm glad you enjoy your tank, and nothing wrong with that. For me, back in 1999, when I had my fish-only tank, the hobby was enjoyable, and now that I have a reef tank, the hobby is downright addicting. Corals don't interact with you like fish can. So what's so enjoyable about a coral that at best sways in the current of your tank? Drawing on my experience and talking with clients and other hobbyists, the answer breaks down to these reasons. First, the pleasure of seeing and measuring your success. Starting your tank with bare rock, then placing small pieces of coral that grow into larger and larger pieces of coral is very satisfying. You can see the results of your efforts in the underwater garden you've created. Second, your tank is always changing. In a fish-only with live rock tank, once you've fully stocked your tank, your fish grow and very little, if anything, changes in your tank. Nothing wrong with that, and personally I enjoy watching corals grow in different patterns that add a lot of variety to my system. When your tank has growing corals in it, what your tank looks like in 6 months will be much different than from today. Once you learn what to look for, you can see daily changes in your tank. Third, the challenge of a reef tank. Now note that keeping a reef tank doesn't have to be difficult. Soft coral tanks are really easy, and even keeping hard corals like I do doesn't have to be hard. In this series, I'm going to walk you through a different type of reef tanks so you can decide which route you want to go. Some reefers enjoy the challenge of keeping a reef tank, and I'm definitely one of them. Learning to listen to your tank and then notice and head off any issues before they become a major problem is a fun puzzle to learn to piece together. Every tank has its ups and downs, and part of the rite of passage of reef keeping is working through the lows so that you can hit new highs. It's very rewarding when you start to see the puzzles of your reef come together. Fourth, aquaculturing. Some corals can be trimmed, called fragging, and the trimmings, called frags, placed in another reef tank to grow into a larger colony of coral. For example, here's a frag that I cut out of my tank. I can take this frag, put it in another reef tank, and have it grow into a larger colony. Then take a frag of that colony and put it in another reef tank to have it grow into a larger colony. Then take a frag of that colony. You see where I'm going with this. Now, while aquaculturing is good, that doesn't necessarily mean that taking corals from the ocean is bad. Harvesting corals from sustainably managed fisheries in the ocean doesn't lead to the degradation of that fishery. And it's cool to know that the coral that you just bought came from captivity. You can specifically buy aquacultured corals from places like Live Aquaria. All these corals are pieces of larger mother colonies at Live Aquaria's facilities. Lots of corals can be aquacultured, and supporting aquaculturing is one facet of keeping the saltwater tank hobby alive long term. Finally, a big selling point of reef tanks is a diverse ecosystem you can create right in your own home or office. In a thriving reef tank, there's so much going on. Fish, corals, and invertebrates in all different shapes and sizes and in all different colors. Creating a slice of the ocean that is living art for you and your family to enjoy and learn from is very rewarding and relaxing. Every saltwater tank hobbyist is different, and if you want to keep your saltwater tank a fish-only tank, more power to you. I wish you lots of success. For me, once I took my saltwater tanks to reef tanks, I found a whole new level of enjoyment, and it's a level of enjoyment that keeps me fascinated day in and day out. Now, keep in mind, you don't need a large reef tank like mine to have it be enjoyable and fascinating. In the Budget Reef series, I'm going to show you how to set up and maintain a small reef that will keep you interested for years in the future. I'm Mark Callahan, Mr. Saltwater Tank, coming to you on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. I'll catch you in the next episode.